So what we're going to do, I want to explain it to the people what we're going to do. We're going to each have been randomly selected random picks throughout the draft, like every 4, right? And we made sure no Cowboys fan, Pete, got his own pick, and no Redskins fan got the pick. That was the only like dabbling I had in the process of randomizing. But we're going to be a GM, we're going to make a pick, and then we're going to say what we think they're going to do. And then we can all just talk about the pick. If you made a terrible pick, we should tell the other people because we're good people. We're good people.
We're always willing to point out our mistakes to each other.
Exactly. Are y'all ready to get started?
Let's do it.
With the first pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Cincinnati Bengals are now on the clock. Arash, it's up to you. You get to start this off. Don't fuck this up.
Yeah, so first pick is always – it's either always an easy choice, like you can't miss, or you better not miss because your job is basically going to be toast in a year or two if you screw it up. This year for the Cincinnati Bengals, it's almost a little bit of a question, but for the most part, given their roster and their situation, it's a done deal. They got to go with Joe Burrow, the LSU quarterback, the 2019 Heisman winner, the 2019 national champion winner. I think that's what they should do. And in reality, on the other end, what will happen in real life, I think that is actually what the Cincinnati Bengals will end up doing as well. They have a lot of holes. They need a lot of pieces. But I think not re-signing Andy Dalton and letting him walk cuts the cake and makes it obvious that that's what they're thinking. They're going to go with Joe Burrow, the quarterback.
Oh, well, I think someone's phone agrees with you. I mean, this was the obvious pick. I was worried you're going to be like, they're going to go with like Andrew Thomas with the first pick and just fuck everything up in our draft. And I was like, get out and leave.
They have a lot of holes. They need a lot of players. And a lot of people are saying Chase Young is actually the number 1 prospect, but quarterback is the most valuable position in this league, and Joe Burrow is the best quarterback in this draft, and Cincinnati needs a quarterback. So all 3 things line up perfectly for them this year.
That's fair. I'm gonna kick it to the audience then. The audience of JK and Pete. JK, Pete, what do you guys think? I'll give it to JK first.
I 100% agree with the selection. This is a no-brainer. You got to go Joe Burrow.
Yeah, pretty much same. I just wanted to make sure Arash went with the logical decision. So at 2, it makes my life a little easier.
Well, the funny thing is it makes it easy for Mike Brown, right? So Mike Brown's the Cincinnati Bengals majority owner, and he's the de facto GM. He makes all these decisions, and he screwed up these last few years. Last year, they picked Jonah Williams, the tackle out of Alabama, who I actually thought was going to be good. He hasn't panned out that well. 2 years ago, 2017, if you guys remember, a wide receiver named John Ross out of Washington, the speedster. And Mike Brown picked him, and he's ended up being a bust. So he needs this pick to be an easy one to kind of save himself some face. Even though he's not going to lose his job, he's his own boss. He hasn't been good at this in the past. So the fact that it's an obvious answer for all 3 of us helps Mike Brown because he hasn't had an easy time going at this in years past.
I mean, I think John Ross had flashes here or there, but like he got hurt.
He's just injury. He's just full of injuries.
Their whole team was full of injuries. That's how they ended up with the first pick. I feel like they could have easily been like 6-10 somehow. They just ended up 2-14 because everyone was injured and their mother. But
right.
I will say that I think Tua is going to end up being a better quarterback. I really think that. It's just a matter of is he healthy? Because, I mean,
right.
he had a traumatic injury. He didn't have like an ACL. He had a hip. He had emergency surgery. So I get why he's not going 1.
I think for both of them, it really just depends on the system that they get put around them.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think that Tua has consistently been good. Joe Burrow couldn't beat out his competition at Ohio State. And then his last year when he played, not this year, he started off kind of slow. So I don't know. I mean, he could easily be really good, but I get why you're taking him 1. I just feel like everything I've now watched, Tua might just end up being the better pick at this point. But I don't disagree with your pick either. I agree. It's Joe Burrow here. Can't go with anybody else. All right, moving on to the number 2 pick. With the 2nd overall pick, the Cowboys fan is going to select the Redskins pick.
Don't screw it up.
You cannot forfeit the pick, and no, you cannot trade it to the Cowboys for free. FYI.
Then I don't know what to do right now.
End call. Leave.
All right, forcefully given the second pick of the draft. It's been kind of debated amongst ourselves earlier episodes of whether quarterback should be taken, Tua, Chase Young, etc. And I think the way Arash was just saying the best player right now in the draft is Chase Young. I think Skins have to go with Chase Young. You have Dwayne Haskins, right at Dwayne Haskins, give him his full year. There's no point of taking Tua here. He's banged up already. I think you guys have a lot of pieces you need to pick up, but it's a no-brainer here to take Chase Young.
Arash, you want to give some commentary?
Dude, I hope that's what they do. I hope they don't screw up what is hopefully an obvious thing. Yeah, Chase Young is a beast, right? He's the 2019 best defensive player of the year for NCAA college football. This is a crazy stat. So he only played 10 games last year. He had 16 and a half sacks, 6 forced fumbles. So in 10 games, if you count sacks and forced fumbles as big plays, he averaged 2.25 big plays a game out of the 10 games he played last year. That's huge. Like if you can get 2.25 big plays out of a defensive end, then you're going to have a stacked defense helping you out on that front four. It's obvious to me. I hope the Redskins don't screw it up, but knowing them, they might find a way.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Arash, like this is kind of like, he's got the potential to make those big plays. You know what you're getting out of him. Not really any injuries or any issues like that. So I think they should go with him, and it's the best pick.
I agree that they should go with him. My gut is starting to tell me that they're going to trade the pick away. It's just like it keeps festering in me that they have not been able to make any moves for any free agents that they attempted to go after, and because of that, they have so many holes that they need to fill up still. And Ron Rivera is the type of guy that wants to win now. He doesn't want to go through like a 5-season rebuild. If you can swap that number 2 pick and get multiple first-round picks, meaning multiple starters, to come in at relatively low prices, they might just do that. But yet again, I suggest that we should go for Chase Young.
Then I want to pose a question. I agree. I really I'm at the point now where I hope we don't trade down. I want Chase Young. I don't know what everybody else is. And honestly, Chase Young could be a bust, whatever. That happens, right? But I want Chase Young. I'm all in. But how far down are you willing to trade? Like if you what's the best pick? What's the worst pick in the first round you're willing to take? JK, since you posed the question, or you posed the.
Honestly, I would say 15 is the lowest I'll go. But the whole reason why I say is it's all based off of compensation, right?
Yeah.
If I'm getting multiple first-round picks this year and next year, maybe I'm getting multiple first, multiple seconds, maybe I'm getting a whole wide variety. I don't think that's going to happen. Don't think like I'm thinking like we're going to go down to 15-ish. I'm saying what's the lowest I would be willing to go is 15, but that's based off of us getting a boatload of other picks.
I got you. Rush, what do you think?
Yeah, so I'm looking at the draft order this upcoming year, right? So Dolphins have 3 first-round picks. Raiders have 2. If the Dolphins were to give us the number 5 pick and then their last pick in the first round, which is all the way at 26, I would do that. Raiders also have 12 and 19. So the 12 is not as early as the 5th pick for the Dolphins, but at least their second pick that they would give you is not as late as the 26th pick. I would do that. I would trade 1 for 2 first-rounders. But then again, you might end up drafting 2 players that are misses when you could have just had 1 first-round pick and hit on Chase Young. So it's a gamble, right? Like there's first-round picks every year. Redskins are a great example of players that you are so sure you're going to hit and you end up missing. So as someone as sure as a hit as it looks like Chase Young might be, you almost are better just picking 1 selection and hoping that it's not that you don't whiff on it.
Fair enough. Any final comments from the Redskins GM? Pete?
Yeah, I changed my mind. We're going to go with Tua now.
All right, we're going to go to the 3rd pick. I am now the GM of the Detroit Lions. I don't know how I got this job out of all the jobs in the NBA or NFL, not NBA. I'm in the wrong league. So I'm going to tell you guys my thought process because it was a really tough situation because we're not doing trades, and I really think they're going to trade out of this pick. I really think they're going to trade out of this pick because they can still get Isaiah Simmons or Jeff Okudah if they trade out of it. I truly believe. And they told everything I read said that they're not considering Tua. So, with all of that said, with the third pick, I think if they stay, they go after Jeff Okudah. I mean, I want them to take Tua. I think that's the best. You play Stafford one more year. You let Tua get totally healthy, and then you should have a good quarterback in your hands. But I think Jeff Okudah is the best corner in the game. They lost Darius Slay. You got to go after. You got to go. You have lots of holes, so just take the next best player available. I feel like. Thoughts, JK? I see you wanted to say them.
Yeah, so I actually 100% agree with this pick. I definitely think that if they end up keeping the pick, I also do agree that they are going to most likely trade with Miami, and so Miami can take Tua. But overall, I think if they end up staying, they take Jeff Okudah, who is by far the best corner in the draft. He's a can't-miss prospect for what everyone is basically saying about him. He's a big, tall corner. He's a cover guy, and he's a man-to-man guy, so he knows what he's doing in the secondary. And the fact that they lost Darius Slay, the Lions need defensive help, so Jeff Okudah makes the most sense.
Rush, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, I think they need help at offensive line, especially at tackle. Matt Stafford, if you just picture what you remember in your head right now of any highlights you see of him, you either see him slinging the ball or getting sacked, and he gets sacked a lot. He's always needed help on the offensive line, and they've always gone to other positions. Jeff Okudah will fit that system. Matt Patricia plays a lot of man coverage, and that's what Jeff excels at. All this talk about Darius Slay being picked up by the Eagles last week, it's because he's a good man corner. He locks up one-on-one. Eagles play that kind of defense, and Matt Patricia plays that kind of defense in Detroit. So Okudah's an awesome prospect. You know, he would fit that scheme well. And I don't think they're going to go quarterback. I'm looking it up right now. They just signed Matthew Stafford to a 5-year, $135 million contract just a few years ago, and he won't be a free agent until 2023. So I don't think they go Tua or Herbert or any of these other guys because they got Matthew Stafford on the books.
I know. It was like he's 32, I think. He's about to be 31, 32. It's like he's been hurt so much that like his career only has so much left, right? Like, and this year we saw Phillip Rivers leave. We saw Tom Brady leave. Yes, they were free agents, but I think it might be a change of scenery time for Matt Stafford. But Pete, commentary to the pick.
No, I mean, you guys pretty much summed it up. Yeah, Kuda makes the most sense here. I mean, piggybacking off everything you guys said, there's a gap. There's a perfect player for that need. It makes sense here. It's early in the draft. Seems like a sure pick.
I feel you. What about I think this pick is coming soon on my account, but Isaiah Simmons was the other guy I was debating between. I mean, it's like a weird situation because you need help at both positions at this point.
So I honestly believe that these three teams, Washington, Detroit, and the Giants, will pick up whatever defensive player lands to them in that order of, Chase Young, Jeff Okudah, and Isaiah Simmons. Literally, they're going to go 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Don't spoil too much because with the fourth pick, the New York Giants, JK, who are they
I'm going Isaiah Simmons. He's not
Nice.
he's not a linebacker. He's not a safety. He's not a corner. He's not a defensive lineman. He's an all-defensive player, and that's what the Giants need. They need a pure stud on defense, and that is what Isaiah Simmons is. He lined up at basically every position. The person that he somewhat resembles in the league right now, for me, is actually the Honey Badger, because the Honey Badger can line up at so many different positions, and that's what Isaiah Simmons does. Obviously, Isaiah Simmons is bigger than him, and I believe a little bit slower, if not just around the same speed. But basically, I think the Giants have no other choice but to pick whatever guy is remaining from Chase Young, Jeff Okudah, or Isaiah.
Pete, what commentary? Let's hear it.
I mean, I get exactly everything you're saying. I want to say I think some of the draft picks I've been seeing with that also is Tristan Wirfs. That right tackle, the projection, what he's expected to do. I mean, it could go either way, like JK said. Like if they want to let it fall, trickle down, go by the pick, it could go either way.
I feel you. Rush, in division rival, what do you think?
Yeah, I actually agree with both of them, right? So I think the Giants, if I was selecting, I would go with Isaiah Simmons, but I think they should go tackle. Giants let 119 quarterback hits last year. That's number one in the NFL. They need help at offensive tackle. Any of these 3 or 4 top tackles would be good for them, but I think they can't resist Isaiah Simmons. The fact that he's so versatile, he's a Buckets Award winner last year, ACC Player of the Year. He's just a stud, and you don't get that many hybrids like he is, such as Matthew in the Chiefs secondary. So I also, if I was them, I would pick Isaiah Simmons. I'd hate to see him go there since he is in division rival. But if they do go that route, they're gonna not address a big need for them at tackle.
Well, here's the other thing. We're forgetting that Dave Gettleman is their GM. He doesn't necessarily always make the smartest moves. So
who was gonna go here?
Well, here's the other thing about it. They say that you shouldn't necessarily draft on need. You should draft based off of best player available.
Yeah.
And obviously, in my opinion, Isaiah Simmons is the best player available in this situation. I think Dave Gettleman is a type of guy that drafts based off of need over best player available. So you might see your first left tackle go here.
Yeah. No, that's
They
fair.
need it.
They just have so many holes. I don't think they're gonna go receiver at 5, but like
There's a chance.
I mean, there is a chance. Like, who is their receiver? Sterling Shepard's hurt all the time. Golden Tate is like 85 years old now. I mean, we took Latimer from them, so I don't know their next receiver at this point. So, I mean, Jeff Judy, could be coming to New York. I don't know.
Way too soon.
Is it? I mean, like, they lost.
It's Jerry Judy, not Jeff Judy.
Whatever. Everyone's name is. My name's Jeff.
Too soon for him. I mean, you had Julio Jones and AJ Green and like top tier athletes like that not even go number 4 overall. So it's way too soon for him.
The problem with Judy is the fact that this is such a deep wide receiver pool that you're going to see most of these wide receivers go in the teens, not necessarily in the top 5. And it's just because of the fact that they're so deep that you can get a guy in the second round that's still a quality starter.
No, you're absolutely right. I agree. It would be shocking to see him go with Jerry Judy here. I agree. All right, let's go to the 5th pick in the 2020 draft. Are your picks just obvious?
Say again?
I feel like your picks are just obvious at this point.
They are. So, yeah, this one's obvious for Miami. And honestly, like the first pick that I had with Cincinnati, it's lucky for the GM, Chris Greer of Miami, that it is an easy pick because he hasn't hit on his last couple first-round picks either. Christian Wilkins, defensive tackle last year out of Clemson, not a bad pick. Minka Fitzpatrick, great pick in 2018. They traded him off and got a first-round pick. And then Laramie Tunsil, offensive tackle in 2016. Also, I don't think it's been a great pick. I mean, they were able to trade him and get good value in return. So maybe he is a valuable player. But he needs this to be an easy pick. And I think for the most part it is, unless they screw it up. If I was Chris Greer, I would draft Tua. November 2019, right, is when he got the dislocated hip, posterior wall fracture, and he hasn't played since. But it wasn't that long ago that this guy was the 2018 National Championship MVP, SEC Player of the Year. And the crazy thing is, the season he got injured, right, he had over 70% completion, 35 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. So he was still killing it his last year. I think they should go Tua if I was them. Injury obviously is a huge concern. What I think they'll actually do is I think they're going to play it safe and they're going to go with Herbert out of Oregon. I think they need quarterback.
There's no way.
I think they need quarterback, and I think they're gonna struggle with that decision.
Okay,
so your official pick right now is Herbert.
I think what they will do is Herbert. If it was me, if I was Chris Greer, the GM of the Dolphins, I would go Tua. I'd roll the dice on the injury, hoping that it wouldn't backfire.
Okay, so Tua's off the board. I just want to make sure that we all.
Tua's off the board. Tua's off the board.
Back and forth, like, which one is it, man?
All right.
Tua's off the board.
Right off the bat, I give the commentary. I think there's no absolute way that they go with Herbert. I just don't see it. Like, the only reason you don't go with The only reason you don't go Tua is if you go a different position. If you go Derek Brown, just because you think he's a top 3 talent, and that's the only way you go in my
Dude,
opinion.
injuries are big though, man. You can't define an injury, right? So like it's rolling the dice almost, and especially because you can't have them come to your facilities right now with this whole virus going on. That like you're really hoping you're doing your enough studying based on what you can read and what you can talk to them with to figure this out.
I guess I don't.
Try out reportedly before the whole coronavirus stuff went down. So
Yeah.
they had.
Sorry, Pete. Say that again.
They reportedly had brought Tua in for a workout before all the coronavirus stuff went down. So they have seen him.
Okay, gotcha. That's
and
good.
Put up that video where he's dropping back throwing. He's back to quote unquote medium strength, I guess. But I agree with the Tua call. I don't think Herbert's even an option here. I mean, Herbert, I think I watched so much play of his play, and like you were right before. I don't think he's that good like anymore. I don't think I think he's shown flashes of being really good for so long, but there's some terrible decision making on his part when he's under. So I don't know if that he can do that in the NFL. JK, I know you had the same reaction I did. So
yeah, I mean, there's absolutely no way in hell that they pass on Tua. Only way I see them taking Herbert here is if a team leapfrog them to the Lions, and that's the only way I see Herbert. If Tua's on the board, Tua's gone by 5, easily.
Yeah, I think so too.
Don't forget, so he got injured in November 2019, right? And so training camp start when? July? So it's really only 8 months that he's going to have to recover from not only a dislocated hip, but he also had a posterior wall fracture. 8 months is not that much time. Like, these athletes are freaks of nature, but 8 months to have a starting quarterback that's going top 5 overall already is asking for a lot. He may not even be ready.
I don't think that they're planning on playing him right away.
Yeah.
I think they're still planning on getting another guy in there, just starting it off, move him slowly, move these pieces around. Don't forget that they don't have a left tackle right now, so they're going to use another one of these picks on the left tackle to get him some protection. So they got to make sure that whoever they get on the offensive line, it's stable to get them protected. They may just tank again next season and get a really nice pick again. So they're in a rebuild. It's not necessarily going to be a 1-year rebuild just because they got 3 picks this year. They're going to utilize the picks this year. They're going to utilize the picks. They have multiple picks next year as well. And I think they're going to use these 2 years to rebuild properly and get Tua into the system next year.
I mean, you can get Fitzmagic back for 6 games, and he could literally go 5-1 in those 6 games, and then throw Tua. I mean, I don't know if you could throw Tua in at that point if you're 6-1, but then he'll throw 7 interceptions one game, and you can throw him in.
Well, they have Josh Rosen, right? They traded a 2nd-round pick for Josh Rosen, so they might as well put him in and plug him in while they wait for Tua to get healthy.
Yeah, I mean, I think all sign. I agree with what JK said. I think that if the Chargers jump up to 3, that's the only way they don't get them.
Maybe.
Or unless Burrow doesn't go 1, and then chaos will
Really.
happen.
All right, let's move over to the Chargers at number 6 pick with Pete.
All right, Pete, number 6 pick.
So assuming here that in the 5th pick, Rosh is taking Tua with the 6th pick, I'm going to assume that the Chargers are going to go with Justin Herbert here. So even though they have Tyrod, I think they're still going to try to bring in someone, another backup. And he had, 3,500 yards, 32 touchdowns, 6 interceptions last year. So I think what they're going to end up doing is bringing him in. And personally, I think that's what they should do as well. As much as I hate it, I love Tyrod Taylor. He's a pretty good quarterback, but he's not that elite status all the time. And I think they're going to bring in another quarterback just to get some rounds in, sit on the bench, kind of go in through it, and then if they need to, they might throw him in.
I'll jump in. Rush, good.
I think you're spot on, man. Yeah, I mean, he was stellar, right, this last year, which is great for him. The timing couldn't have been better. He's projected to be the number 3 quarterback off the board, the Rose Bowl MVP. I don't think he's going to be good. I see a lot of Jake Locker in him. If you guys remember the Washington quarterback who got drafted by Tennessee Titans, and right around the same spot, right? You're looking at Chargers at number 6. I think Locker got drafted number 8 overall. And Locker was a bust, right? Eventually, he quit the NFL before his rookie contract was even up. So I think the Chargers are going to roll the dice. It sucks for Tyrod because he never gets a chance, right? Every time he's in a new team, the former 6th-round pick always gets snubbed in for someone else who has more potential, apparently. But I do think that's what the Chargers are going to go for.
JK, what do you think?
Yeah, I can see the want for Justin and to grab a quarterback. I don't like the pick. I think it is what it's going to happen. But I'm just not a fan of the pick of taking Justin that early. I'd like to see them go offensive line because they're going to need to protect whoever they have there. And I would want what's his name? It's the guy from Alabama.
Alabama.
Jaredick Willis. I think he's going to be offensive tackle. I'd like to see them take him. But yet again, I can see how they're going to go with Justin Herbert.
I almost agree with you, JK. I think they should go with the guy from Iowa, Tristan Wirfs, and then they should sign Cam. That's what they should do. But like we're obviously assuming that it's still what the roster is right now. And if it's like that, then it's gonna be Justin Herbert. I mean, it just makes obvious sense at that point. But I think they should go Cam, go offensive line. You can get Cam for the 5 years. Why spend draft capital at this point? But I guess it's the whole physical thing because of the issues in the world right now. They can't actually perform a physical and bring him in, see where he's at. So that's why Cam is kind of screwed. But that leads us. Is it my pick? Number 7, Carolina. This is a hard
coach.
I keep getting hard picks because this team needs a lot of help, I think. And I think they should trade out of this pick too. I truly believe it. I think they should trade out, get some more picks. But again, this is why I asked the question: can we do trades? Because I'd be on the phone with you guys during my lunch break, being like, "Yo, you want to trade your first, a second, and a third, real quick?" So Carolina Panthers, man, they're all sorts of messed up, but they don't need a quarterback anymore. That's the one thing I learned. I think they go best player on the board, Derek Brown. Derek Brown could go top 5. I think it's just an easy pick. They need to fill the hole. Just go Derek Brown, easy pick. Just walk away. Make it a quick pick. Don't make us wait the whole 2 minutes either.
He's a monster, yeah. He's going to be a monster for them. I think they go defense. Either Derek Brown, if Isaiah Simmons is available, I don't think he will be. I think they'll pick Isaiah Simmons over Derek Brown because of Luke Kuechly's retirement, right? That left a huge void at the middle linebacker position for them, and they will jump on Isaiah Simmons if they can.
Agreed. I imagine he'll be gone by now. They're taking the best player on the board, I believe. Whoever the best player is at that time, outside of quarterback, because they just signed Teddy B, that's who they're taking. That's my take.
Yeah, I'm actually looking towards Derek Brown at this pick as well. I don't think that they're going to end up trading. This is not a spot where you're going to find a sexy pick available. So finding a trade partner for that spot is going to be very difficult. Derek Brown is a top 5 talent who kind of got shit out of luck because there's so many good defensive players available this draft. And his name's kind of fallen off the board in comparison to the Jeff Okudas, the Chase Youngs, and Isaiah Simmons. But Derek Brown's a top 5 talent. He goes over here to Carolina at 7.
Pete, what you think?
Got on the board with Arash. If he's available, I think they'll go with Isaiah Simmons. I think that's the best win share impact that they can get because in college he did play a lot of reps at slot, corner, off-ball linebacker, and I think that's probably a great pick for them if it's available. If not, I can see your pick as well.
I also saw with some trade scenarios, Jeff Okuda falling here. They need a corner. But I just don't think that fall happens.
Yeah, I think just the way you played in college, you could play a lot of different positions. I think it's a great pick for them if they could get Isaiah Simmons here.
The funny thing is, one of those guys, and I honestly do believe either Jeff Okuda or Isaiah Simmons falls due to the fact that
of a trade.
Justin Herbert because of a trade going on, and the Giants going to screw up their pick, and Justin Herbert's going to come up in the top six.
Agreed.
I want to say something. I also just get more excited when I see a cornerback or a linebacker and prefer to talk about them. But let's not discount this defensive tackle, Derek Brown, dude. He's an SEC Defensive Player of the Year in 2019, unanimous All-American. And when we watch football, you know, we immediately, our eyes are drawn to the quarterback, drawn to linebackers. But those defensive linemen and offensive linemen are crucial when you're actually trying to get to a Super Bowl, when you're trying to make a playoff run. Guys like Derek Brown, if he pans out to be the guy that they're saying he might be, it will be a huge reason. And so I'm just like everyone else. I like to talk about the linebackers and the corners, but defensive tackles are far and few between when you can find a good one. And if this one is, then Carolina will probably jump on him.
I mean, Derek Brown's comps are Akeem Hicks and Fletcher Cox. I mean,
Yeah.
all of us watch NFC East games. When you play the Eagles, you hear Fletcher Cox's name a lot. So if that's what you're getting, you're not going to miss. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I wouldn't be unhappy if I was a Panthers fan getting Derek Brown. So, but you're on one more thing? Okay. All right, cool. The 8th pick, JK, Arizona Cardinals. I think this is an obvious pick. But
I think they go offensive tackle.
Yes. Okay.
I am more in favor of Jedrick Willis. That's kind of where I've seen him slotted in with Arizona. You guys are obviously more fans of Tristan Wirfs. I think they can go with either or. I definitely think that they take an offensive tackle here.
Officially, who are you picking?
Jedrick Willis.
All right. Just making sure.
He's ranked the number 1 offensive tackle. That's why I went with him.
I mean, but they make them in Iowa. You know what I mean? Iowa and Missouri is where they make offensive line.
What about that one left tackle that got kicked inside to guard?
Good old Brandon Sheriff.
Because he was going to be a very good offensive tackle. You want to go with a good offensive tackle, go with Jedrick Willis.
But Brandon Sheriff is still like a top 10 offensive lineman. And I think
guard.
Right.
Guard is a lot different than tackle.
Agreed. Tackle is definitely much harder. And Cardinals need a right tackle for sure. So I agree. I think they will go tackle, and I actually would go with the Alabama guy. Cardinals last year, they do a lot of screens, right? With their new head coach and just Kyle Murray's play style. They do a lot of screen games with receivers and running backs, and Jedrick Willis is perfect for that kind of game compared to Tristan or even Mackay out of Louisville. Crazy stat about this offensive tackle out of Alabama. Jedrick only allowed 1 sack in the last 2 years. That's pretty insane.
Wow.
The issue that it's actually funny that JK mentioned it. He's pretty short, and that was one of the reasons why Brandon Sheriff couldn't play tackle in the NFL, even though he played left tackle in Iowa. He was not fast enough, and he was definitely not tall enough. And I don't think this guy's going to have that same issue, but he is much shorter than you would prefer a left tackle or a right tackle to be.
Well, interesting fact is that Tristan Wirfs or whatever, they're the same height. They're both 6'4". He's 0.6 inches taller than him.
Jedrick and Tristan are the same height?
Yeah.
Oh, then people are complaining for no reason because they're not saying that about Tristan at all. I only hear the height issue complaints with Jedrick.
I mean, 6'4" and a quarter of an inch. 6'4" and a quarter, sorry. And then
Jedrick is also very light for an offensive tackle. He's 312 pounds.
Okay.
Tristan's only 320.
Yeah.
Well, the Mackay offensive tackle out of Louisville, dude, that dude's almost 370 pounds. Like, he's a big boy.
Yeah.
He's probably one of those guys where as soon as you draft him, you buy him a treadmill and ask him to start running on it.
Oh, man. Before we move on, Pete, what's your take?
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with you guys. The only other one I guess I would have seen here is Mackay, but yeah, I'm on the same boat. I'm cool with it. We can move on.